doing today?
Fantastic. Fantastic.
And it is 2021. It's a pretty
Yes, it is.
crazy year.
Well, I hope it's not as crazy as 2020.
I hope not as well. Just wanted to sit y'all down, ask some questions about both of y'all. About your relationship, your marriage, just everything. Just wanted to just get some cool stories from y'all that hopefully I learned something new and we can share this with everyone. So it'll be fun. So all right, first question: where did y'all first meet? And one of y'all can answer. Y'all can both answer, just however you want. Where did y'all first meet?
Buckles High School.
But I know the first time I saw her,
When was that?
well, all the guys that was in my class told me there's a good-looking girl starting school tomorrow. And so I decided, man, I wanted to be at school to see that good-looking gal.
The reason they knew
Because
me
went to church together.
is because we had always gone to church in Buckles, regardless of where we lived. Basically, we always went to church in Buckles, and these guys that he knew happened to be ones that went to my church.
And went to Sunday school with you.
Yeah, I went to Sunday school and confirmation and whatever together.
So the next day I got up real early because I normally don't get up early. I fly in there about 20 seconds before the tardy bell rings. And so that day I got up early, and I got up there and got up on the second floor. And the bus lets them off right in front of the school. It's about maybe 150 feet or less from the front door. And then they walk up that big wide sidewalk to get into the schoolhouse. Well, I went upstairs right above that sidewalk looking out the window. And there she came up that sidewalk. Had a pretty long skirt on and a white blouse.
That was the fashion.
And I said, wow, I like what I saw. Little bitty short gal with that little bitty waistline and a little halfway as prissy. Yeah, you were. You just didn't know it. Well, I thought so anyway.
Did y'all talk to each other?
No.
When did y'all first start talking to each other?
I have
I don't know.
Have no idea.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Somewhere there. I mean, when you got a high school.
150 students in the whole school system.
Yeah.
You know everybody, you talk to everybody.
You learn everybody pretty quick.
Fair point. Where was y'all's first official date?
1957 in the fall.
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you and I and Lamar.
Oh, that's when you tricked me.
Yes, that was our official first date.
He used to call me when he was working he was working at the service station, and he would call me and we would just chat. And he had asked me out several times, and each time I told him I had plans. And so that was the end of it. Well, that particular night, do you want to tell it?
No, go ahead. I love hearing you say it because it makes me feel good.
He asked me, he said, I understand that you're doing...
Got plans tonight.
Got plans for Saturday night or whatever it is.
No, it was just a night.
It was a weeknight. I don't remember what, Tuesday night, let's say. I said, no, I don't have any plans for Tuesday night. And he said, well, you do now.
I'll be by at 7, 8 o'clock.
And it just made me mad because he tricked me. And he said, well, that Lamar's coming and that Lamar's going to ask Carolyn to go. And I knew Carolyn wanted to go with Lamar, so I knew better than to back out because she'd kill me.
And Carolyn's your sister.
Right.
Yep.
She wouldn't have backed out anyway.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Whatever.
So, when did you, this is a question for you first. When did you know that Mommom was the one?
That first night I dated her.
Really? And what'd you do about it?
I told her that night one of these days I was going to marry her.
Really? And Mommom, what'd you say?
She didn't say a word.
I didn't say anything till I went home. And I told my sister what he said. And then I said I wouldn't marry him if he's the last person on earth.
And guess what? We're still living together, so I guess she didn't marry me.
Are you the last person on earth? I don't know which.
So, Mommom, when did you know that A was the one?
She still don't know.
Sometime in April, I think, of 58. At the SPJST Hall that night.
Tell the rest of the story.
Must I?
Yeah, I love hearing it.
Yeah, it's a good story.
Okay, on Sunday nights I'd go to youth meeting at church, and then after church we would go to the SPJST Hall if there was a dance there. And because, that's what teens did, or a lot of them, and hung out. Well, bad part about that deal was I was dating a couple of guys, and it just beside him, and
Him, you heard how she said him.
that's sitting by me, and all three of them showed up
To the hall, to the dance hall.
to the dance hall.
Oh no!
Oh no, it was right.
So what'd you do?
Well, I tried to be cool, but I wasn't very cool. I was pretty nervous. And then Cecil came and he told me, he called me outside.
Right to the front door where you go in.
Yeah, he called me outside.
Right there where the door
At the
opens.
door, and he said, I just want to tell you. Now, we had dated several times since
In that
then,
process.
in that process. Yeah. We had dated several times. He said, I just want to tell you that you don't have to worry about me anymore. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I'm just telling you that I'm going to get out of your life and you can do whatever you want to do, and I'm going to be gone. I said,
No
no.
hard feelings or nothing.
He said, no hard feelings. I said, no, that's not what I want. He said, well, I think that's best. And I said,
No, and I told her, well, get one of the other guys. She said, I want you to take
I said,
me
I
home.
want you to take me home. I was there in my car because my sister Carolyn was with me because we came from church. And she didn't have a driver's license, but she was about 15. And I said, well, I want you to take me home because I knew Carolyn could drive the car home. We only lived about, how many miles out of town? 5 or so miles out of town. And anyway, he was reluctant and tried to argue with me because he was determined that he was through with me.
Oh, well, I told her, get one of the other guys to take you home.
I said, I don't want the other guys to take me home. I want you to take me home. Anyway, somehow I persuaded him.
We went to Jean's house that night.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was
was
spending the night there for some reason.
2 miles out of town.
Yeah, 2 miles out of town, whatever.
Maybe just
But
a mile.
anyway,
And you dropped the relationship with those other guys.
yep,
Yeah, we stayed up to about 2:30 talking and whatnot.
yep.
Anyway, she told me, she says, well, I do have a date with a guy and I don't want to break that date, but that'd be the last time I go with somebody else besides you.
Yeah, I don't even remember. It was some deal that
I have no idea.
I don't remember, but I did go. It was pretty boring. It was bad, but I had to suck it up and do it because we worked together.
Yeah. So, how long did y'all date before getting engaged?
Because we get engaged.
Not very long, because this was
the
in
end of
April,
May.
and we got engaged May 31st,
And when did y'all get married?
August 9th.
Okay, so a short engagement.
Real quick.
Yeah, short engagement, short courtship.
Where did you get married and how old were y'all?
20. I was 20. I had to wait till I got 21 because we had planned a wedding, and finally it's an amazing thing. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we wanted to keep it small. And
We had to pay for the wedding because our parents didn't have the money.
neither one of our parents had the money. We had to pay for it. But anyways,
Being from the same town, we knew too many people, and we couldn't get the guest list small enough to afford it.
and the amazing thing about it was we both thought of the same thing at the same time, said, why don't we just elope?
Yeah, and take that money and buy furniture. So the money we had saved for the wedding, we bought a house full of furniture.
Well, we didn't have enough to pay for all of it, but we
Well, most of it, yeah.
did that. But we got married at Temple by her preacher at the
At
parsonage.
the parsonage. And we went to see him. He counseled us for a couple of weeks beforehand.
Do it now?
We went to him for counseling.
Yeah, it was real stringent
Oh,
counseling.
yeah, right.
So y'all had a house already, or did you?
Yeah, we had rented an
We
apartment.
rented an apartment.
Okay.
One side of a duplex.
All right. And did y'all go on the honeymoon?
Yeah, from there to the rented apartment.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford to go any
And
place.
ironically, this was on a Saturday, and his brother and sister-in-law came
and John were there.
in. And so then after we got married, we went by to tell them that we had gotten married. And so then they came up to the apartment, and we visited half the
Well,
into the night.
the place I worked at, my mother went over and said, my sister went back to San Antonio that morning.
I remember that.
I do, because she was mad about us telling her we were getting married. But anyway, and so I took off at noontime to go clean up at the apartment and everything for us to get married that night at 7. Or I mean about 2 o'clock, maybe, whatever it was. I think we went and took pictures and whatnot. But anyway,
Went to the studio and had pictures made.
But anyway, my mother went over and my boss man said, well, your son left early. He's getting married this evening. Oh,
Thanks a
she
lot.
went home just a crying. And my brother and sister was there, Uncle John and Aunt Helen. And told them.
Oh, well.
So everyone was pretty surprised, or?
Well, they knew we were going to get married and all
But
of
they
that.
just didn't.
No, we had.
And they were mad at us because we didn't tell them where they could have been part of it.
Well, the thing about it, we planned on
When we
getting
planned-
married that following January.
Yeah, they didn't think we were
And then
gonna
we
do-
couldn't stay apart, man. It just killing us. Then we raised it up to about September.
Yeah, and then we got married in August.
Then we said, well, no, let's get married.
Forget it.
So y'all were living in an apartment, a duplex. Mm-hmm. All right. How long did y'all live there until you got a house?
Oh, no. I
We
went to
lay-
Barber College in San
Yeah,
Antonio.
Okay.
we didn't.
Yeah. Sorry. Walk me through the chain of events after that.
Okay, after that, we, about 3 months after we got married, or 4 months, we got married in August, and in December he started barber school. And he started barber college in San Antonio. And so I moved to his mom's.
No, you didn't move yet.
Well, but eventually I did.
Yeah. But you know what she told me? She says, now you know that you got to stay there because we can't afford you to be driving back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I left that that Sunday evening, went down there so I could be ready to go to school that Monday morning. And about Tuesday, she says, why don't you come home Wednesday night? So I come home to spend a few hours with it that Wednesday after I get out of barber college. Then I had to drive like a wild man back to San Antonio. That went on for
a month.
a month or so.
And then you transferred to Austin.
Then I transferred to Austin.
Then he
Well,
drove.
that wasn't even a month. That was only 2 weeks
Yeah.
I was in San Antonio.
But then he drove for the rest of the time to Austin every day, 5 days a week.
6 days.
6 days a week.
And y'all were living in Cameron?
Well, we did for a short period of time, but then we moved in with Mother and Daddy.
Then we finally moved in with his mom and dad
Okay.
until he got out. Then we rented a house.
Yeah, rented a house right just up the street, 16th Street.
16th Street.
Do you know what the address was?
204 East 16th. And we lived there
2 years.
2 years. Well, Connie was born there, so it was more than 2 years, more like almost 3. Because Connie was born, and we were married 3 years before Connie was born. So we stayed there for a good while.
But in the same process, when she had Connie, then the bank, she had to leave the bank for so and so long. Yeah. But she got able to draw unemployment, and we saved that money for a down payment on this house.
Yeah, because Mom, you said you couldn't work if you were pregnant.
That's right. That was
she could
very
work.
Common those days. People were discriminatory just in that way, especially Oxford Smith.
I'll be sure to bleep his name out of the recording. So then y'all moved over here to this place, and
we moved here when Connie was
1 year
11 months old.
Well, 1st of December.
And
April. 1st.
March.
Huh?
March. Oh, well, it didn't matter.
Well, what year?
61. Oh, 61.
Okay, so...
No, it would have been 62. She was born in 61.
That's
so
right.
62. We moved here in 62.
I'm surprised you still remember the month. That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, I know she was 11 months old. That's why.
And how big was y'all's house when you first moved in?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many square feet? It was exactly what you see there.
It was just this,
there.
there, and
this, not all of this or that.
but that was part garage, but it was just this part.
So it was just like a living room,
2 bedrooms.
two bedrooms, one bathroom.
And this was the kitchen and the dining room.
So it's just in the small kitchen and dining room.
Right.
And I heard a story about a train and how you were able to get some money to expand the house. Would you mind sharing that?
Well, really, all we did was close in the garage and make a den out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you still need
that was
to tell her how you got the money.
We was at Bucko's with my mother and them and heard a bunch of noise when a train come through. I mean, it was making the noise.
And you know their house was right by the railroad
track. And so walked over there and there was a piece of rail about like this broke out of the railroad track.
Big foot piece.
Well, I got a picture somewhere of it, but whatever it was. Anyway, and I told my dad, I said, Dad, when's the next train coming? He says, right away, probably. You never know about their scheduling, but they pretty well on schedule. And we don't have a phone, and we don't know any numbers or anything. So I jumped in the car and drove to Cameron real fast and to the depot, and they flagged the train down through and wouldn't let them go through because it would crash. Well, anyway, a little while later after that, I don't know all the details on it whatsoever, but some of the officials from the Santa Fe Railroad came to the barber shop, and they said, "We just come to thank you for what you did, and we'll give you a little token type appreciation, you know." So they gave me $250. And so that's how I took that $250 and we closed that room
Garage
in.
in.
That
It was a
in,
garage.
and made it a den.
Now, what would that be equivalent to this year, in
I
2021?
don't be in the thousands, but I don't know.
1,000. I don't know.
A couple $1,000s?
Probably.
Probably because back then you were making $55 a week, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
So,
making.
you know,
So probably about 1 month's pay. Or
Yeah.
a little over a month's
no,
pay.
1 week.
Yeah, but that 250 would have been.
Oh yeah.
Not.
That would have been a
Yeah.
month's pay.
So a nice sizable sum.
Yeah.
Cool. So you were working as a barber. And what were you doing, Mommom?
Well, I stayed at home till Connie was for another year or so, I guess.
Not too bad. 2-3 years.
No, just a couple of years, and I went
I
to
said
work.
2 or 3.
Yeah, I didn't want to go back to the bank because it was boring sitting in the teller's window. Because all you do is the same thing over and over all day long. And I wanted something more challenging, so I don't even know how I found out, or I don't remember how it came about, but I went to work for the USDA, and the Department of Agriculture. And I worked with them then until after Christy was born, because I worked
Then you
for
worked
'em.
part-time.
Yeah, I worked, and I took my leave of absence after Christy was born for 6 weeks. And I went back to work, and I worked maybe a week or two, and I said, I can't do it. I gotta
Be with my daughter.
go home. So I took a leave, and then I stayed at home with her for.
And they work you just
Yeah, and then
every once in a little bit, fill in.
I did some part-time work for them, but basically I stayed at home. But then I went, by the time she was maybe 3 or so, I went to work again full-time. And then in 1968, I quit again.
No, you didn't quit.
Yeah, I did.
Jimmy Carter cut your position out.
No.
Oh, then you worked part-time.
I quit. That's when the Lord, I got saved in between there. And I just felt impressed that I should be at home. So I just quit my job, and Cecil said, "You're crazy." He said, "Write down our expenses and write down what our income is. If you quit and we just have my income," and I did. I went, and the Lord still kept impressing me that I should quit. So I went before the Lord and I said, "Okay, God, here's our expenses and here's how much Cecil brings in." Because when he was starting barbering, it wasn't that good, because you were still working in a
Mr. Ford.
a 3-chair shop, so they had to share the business, and it wasn't panning out. We had a lot more going out than would be having coming in. But finally I said, "Okay, God, I don't understand it. I don't know how we're going to make it, but I'm certain that you want me to quit and stay home. So I'm quitting." So I gave put in my resignation, and then I stayed home for a couple of years till Christy started school. Because all during kindergarten I was home. I mean, when she was kindergarten. And then after she started school, I went back to work for them. But I was working some part-time. I was working during their busy seasons and stuff.
But she forgot one thing when she quit. Then our prices increased $1 a head.
Yeah.
So that
that
well
helped.
above or offsetted her salary.
Yeah.
So the increase.
See, God knew that, but I didn't. I was just looking at what I was seeing on paper, what we needed. I said, okay, we're going by faith.
So you said you got saved right around that time. Tell me about that. I know y'all got saved right around the same time frame.
About a year apart.
Apart. How did
Okay,
that?
Christy was a baby when I got saved. She was probably a few months old. And it was all, I just had this feeling in my heart that there was something wrong with my relationship with God. And so the more I studied and searched in it, I found that salvation, I thought that Jesus died for my sins, but I still had to do certain things. I had to, if I had to go to church, I had to tithe, I had to whatever, everything that it said. And if I didn't do those things, I'd be damned, so to speak. And all of a sudden I came across that verse that said that salvation is by faith, not of works. It is a gift. And I thought, my gosh, if it's a gift, you don't work for it. And then I got to think, okay, how do you receive a gift? I mean, if it's a gift, how do I get it? And I finally realized that a gift is something you don't work for, that somebody else pays for. All you have to do is receive it. So then it was, how do I receive it? So that was my next quest. Finally, I found some literature that told me that all you had to do to receive the gift, if you were sincere about it, is to just ask the Lord. Say, I believe that you died on the cross for me, and I want you to save me. And that's basically what I did. And immediately I knew something had happened in my life because I saw major changes.
Like what?
Like one of the first ones was that I couldn't believe that for all my life I went to church every Sunday because I felt like I had to
please him.
If I didn't, I was, oh my goodness, it was terrible. And all of a sudden, I couldn't wait for the first Sunday to go to church because I wanted to. And that was a major change. I can remember that so well. And the other thing was that right after I prayed that prayer, I felt so light. Like this burden had just lifted from me. Because I knew that now somebody had asked me, another thing that somebody had asked me, if you died tonight, are you sure you would go to heaven? And as I thought about it, I said, well, I think so, or I hope so. And the next paragraph was, if your answer was, I think so or I hope so, then you better reevaluate, because you're supposed to know so. And that's when I knew that something had to give. And so anyway, I was saved, and that was two of the things that I felt. All of a sudden there was things in the scriptures that I hadn't understood, and I understood them. It was just daylight and night difference. And within the year, the same thing happened to you, but it was different.
Yeah, we were going to church and had all these rules and regulations, about keeping the commandments and all this, that, and yonder. And I told my mom, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to keep those commandments. It kills me. And even though she was saved, I told her that. Anyway, and we were coming from San Antonio around San Marcos, and I remember, I was doing pretty good keeping those commandments. I was on top of it. But I was miserable. oh, I felt like I was in jail. And I was thinking about that on the way home. But anyway, when we got home, and I was in bed that night about 2 o'clock.
I thought the preacher.
Huh?
I thought the preacher said something to you next door.
No. That Methodist preacher? No. But anyway, I was, pondering over all this, and then finally one night about 2:30, I had all I could handle. I could not take another day. I got up, went down in that den there, laid on my face, and I was crying like a baby. I says, Lord, I can't do this some more. And I read where you said, if I'd ask you to come into my heart, forgive me of my sins and come into my heart and save me, that you'd do it. And Father, right now I'm doing that to you. I want you to come into my heart and save me. And I know now that you forgive me my sins, and I just want you as my Lord and Savior. And I don't know what else. I got up, went to bed, didn't feel an ounce different, felt still the same. But then Sunday morning I was raring to go to church. I was raring to go. Didn't have to no more. That's when I realized I was set free, and Corrine knew it too, because then we would start studying the scripture probably to 2:30, 3 o'clock at night. We'd have each one of us 2 Bibles laying across the bed, and we'd study and study. But anyway, the thing that amazed me was when we'd be sitting there studying, Mom would say, well, this scripture says so-and-so, so-and-so. And I said, honey, it don't say that. Yes, it does. I says, no, read it again. And we'd sit there, and what had happened is because still, even though she was saved, the old teachings that she heard about some of this scripture was still in her mind, not in her heart. And anyway, me not ever being in church or whatnot, just for that short period of time, nobody ever filtrated my brain to think all that scripture that way. But that was a new experience for both of us. But we'd sit there and study with whatever, maybe, I don't know, just each one of us have 2 different translations, and that was part of it. Great experience.
So cool. So y'all both got saved about within a year of each other.
Right.
Yeah, your mom was about a year old when I got saved.
All right. And what year was that?
6. Yes. Well, I got saved in 65. January of 65. So you probably got saved
66.
Yeah.
Probably.
60, or into 65, whatever.
Cool. So you had God on your side.
Absolutely.
And I guess
we made him first in our lives.
So I guess, God helped you get through a lot of challenging or difficult times or moments in your life.
Our major difficulty was really, we had some tough goals financially. We had money, but didn't have money.
Yeah, we never were without anything that we needed.
But we didn't have a surplus.
But we didn't have a lot of surplus.
Yeah.
We didn't have,
I know when I was going to Barbara
But
College,
he always insisted that we take a vacation every year.
Yeah.
And we went every year for a month
all
or
over the
for a
United
week
States.
or 2 weeks. And whatever it took to do that, we did it. That's one thing we always did. We spent money on was taking that vacation.
Yeah, we sure did.
Because he never wanted to spend his vacation at home. Because he said if I stay at home, I'd just work. And if I'm going to work, I might as well be at the barbershop.
But the thing that amazed me before we were saved and we just married, Corrine always tithed 10%. I don't care. And one time she wrote that check out for that $5, and I told her, sweetheart, you can't write that check for $5. We got a $55 bill coming in, like Monday or Tuesday. No, we got to tithe. Okay, so she wrote the check. And we went to church. And that Monday we went to the mailbox and we had a check in there for $50.
Or 55,
55, whatever it was. So he multiplied it and met that need. See, and I was trying to rob us of that blessing, even though we weren't Christians.
Yeah, that was before we were saved.
Yeah, that's just when we were actually.
But that just shows you that God, God doesn't live in time like we do. And so as far as God's concerned, I was his child because, I hadn't been saved, but because he's in the past, future, and the present, I'm saved, right?
Right.
So he blessed us even then.
So we're gonna get a little gritty now. What is one of the most difficult things y'all have had to do together, or a difficult decision, or something that was hard?
One of my difficult decisions was in '68 when the Lord wanted me to quit work. I really did not want to do that. And I really fought it. Because it took it, because it wasn't that I didn't want to, because it was just that I didn't see how in the world we were going to make it. And that was really, very difficult thing.
And there was probably some more little things, but.
Yeah, I'm saying that was a difficult decision that we had to make. Because you finally told me, whatever. The Lord, it was he had spoken that to me, and you finally said, okay, you're the one that the Lord's telling you to do it, so if that's what he tells you to do, I'll go with it.
But also then I started working that extra day in Buck Oaks too.
I know, but I'm just saying.
So I was working 6 days a week.
So what other difficult situations?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure there's others, but as you look back, you can't remember those things in general.
From that point on, we've just been blessed.
But I know one time in there, we didn't have enough money to buy health insurance.
Well, that's when I wasn't working.
Well, I'm just telling you what it is.
And we had to live by faith.
And
we never had to go to.
But we were discussing it, and we couldn't. All we could do was buy health insurance. We couldn't buy health insurance. We couldn't buy insurance on our furnishings in the house. And I'll never forget Corrine had a fit about not being able to have our contents insured. And I told her, I said, sweetheart, all the furniture we got is old furniture. It's ready used. And if something happens and we don't have it, we'll go down to a secondhand shop and we'll buy that, and that won't stop us from being happily married. Did I not?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, for about 10 years, we didn't have health insurance.
No.
It was close.
It wasn't that long.
Oh, well,
whatever.
Let's take that a little step further.
Because I went back to full-time work somewhere there, and then once I went full-time, I had
But let's take it a little further.
Okay.
The Raymonds were living next door. We never had any insurance. And Connie was playing football out there with them, and she broke a toe. And that bill was $35. And that was the only expense we have for medical or anything in all those years, whatever it was, whether it was 8, 10, 6, or 7.
Or whatever, 2 or 3. I don't think it was that long, because I was able to get insurance as soon as I went back to work full time. Whatever it was. We have the usual ups and downs that people have. Our parents taking care of them and then them passing away and, all that kind of stuff. But your mom lived with us for a time, and it was very taxing.
Very taxing.
Because she was going into dementia, and she wanted to go home, and she did not want to be here, and so it made it difficult. But basically, we just had a good time. I guess, this past year is as difficult as losing James.
Well, like she said, we always went on vacations. We'd go to California, Yellowstone, Big Bend, South Carolina, Arkansas, Oklahoma, then repeat or whatever and whatever and whatever. We always went on vacations.
St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis, and just on and on. And we always took a vacation. Always took it. And didn't have the money either.
And somehow we are always able to pay for it. Again, I'm saying that's just, I felt like that was part of the fact that we have always tithed, that God just blessed us to be able to, we didn't always see it, but in the end, He took care of us.
So, what is one of y'all's biggest blessings?
One, we've had lots of big blessings.
Outside of Christ has to be the biggest blessing.
His family.
But then the next is all our family.
Yeah.
You included.
Yeah. Our children, our grandchildren.
Yeah, their wives and their
in-laws and outlaws
or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, we have been family oriented from, because I was brought up that way as a young kid. I spent lots of times with my cousins because my parents had my aunts and uncles and cousins over, and we played together and whatever. So that was, and so that we had a strong family tie. I had to my family. We had a strong family tie to your family. Then we had a strong family tie within our family.
And what was so neat about it, there was never no bickering or animosity, no jealousy,
we
just no nothing. It just was a sweet thing. But I was telling my mom the other day that we know before we were born that God knew all about us and everything we was going to do and what the future was going to hold.
That's what it says in Psalms.
And I told her, I said, you know what's amazing? I just can't believe before we was born, He knew that we were going to be together and we were going to have so-and-so kids and this, that, and the other, and it just blows my mind. But the thing that really still tears my heart out at days is we can be watching a movie and what will happen, these guys or the girl would get out of that relationship with those guys, whoever they were. And I told her, if that had not happened in our life, where would we be today? There is no telling. There is no telling. But He knew all that in advance. And boy, are we thankful. We thankful. And I can be sitting there watching one of those movies and I see that happen, tears come to my eye, and I look over at her and say, where would she be and where would I be? Lord, thank you. And I do that weekly. It's not just occasionally. It's been a fantastic journey.
Wow.
Yes, it has.
Huh?
Yes, it has.
It has been great.
So let's talk about that journey. As y'all's entire journey through life, have some fun questions here. Who cooks the best meals?
Well, it's certainly not me. Now, Jacob, you knew better than to ask that question.
What's your favorite meal that Mommom cooks?
All above, I guess.
Food.
If you were on death row and you could only have one last meal, what would it be?
I really don't know. I really don't know.
Because you like a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Because see, when we got married, I only ate pan-fried steak and cream potatoes and French fries and pinto beans and bread. That's it.
And you were skinny as a stick, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, 132 pounds.
Skinny as a stick.
Yeah. And my mom wasn't
And
very
he-
heavy herself.
And he wanted me to cook that every day. No, I'm not eating the same thing
But she did it for a long time,
day in
though.
and day out.
But she did it for a long time.
But I kept introducing new foods.
Okay. You expanded his.
Right.
No, that's not so. I was a darn guinea pig.
But then, especially after the girls were born, because I'd say, you have got to eat this because you've got to be an example, you know.
And what did I pray one day?
Yeah. When
We'd always bless the food.
I was sitting right here.
Right.
That table was right there.
That's right.
Yeah. We were fixing to eat, and I'd serve pork and beans that day.
Yeah, more
something.
often than that day.
I know, but that particular day,
So you're not a fan of pork and beans?
No.
no. And here's what he prayed. And go ahead and tell him.
Go ahead and tell it.
He started praying. He said, Lord, I wished you would
Remind
my wife that I do not like pork and beans. And the girls just burst out laughing, and I did too.
And guess what?
What?
That was answered prayer.
He didn't quit. That prayer got answered.
So that was the last time you ever cooked pork and beans?
Well, no, she still sneaks them in now, finally.
Last time that I opened just a can of beans, I did later make baked beans, and he would eat them, but never again another can of plain pork and beans.
That is a funny story and a great prayer as well. So who does most of the work around the house?
It depends on whether you're talking about inside or outside.
Both.
I do most of the work outside, but I certainly don't do any inside.
And I do
Maybe
most
make a
work
bed
inside.
or
And
something.
Yeah, the only thing I do outside is messing with my flowers.
And I told her,
At
if
this
she dies for me,
Now
then they're going to die after
I
her.
did mow grass and stuff,
No.
but it was tell him how I did it.
Yeah, you didn't mow the grass. You attempted to mow.
Okay.
How did that go?
Well, we had a self-propelled mower
What year was this?
Oh, I don't know.
way back here.
Okay.
Way back here.
When
Way
the
back.
kids were little,
Anyway, and I was driving a
and
pickup,
I'd be
and
home. So
that you could hear that pickup take out in downtown. I mean, it was wrong. And she'd hear me start up downtown, I guarantee you. She did. She'd run out and get that lawnmower and start it up when I'd get about right there on the street over here. When I'd come home, I'd say, hey, I'll mow that. And she knew how to butter me up. She'd do that all the time. She thought she was outsmarting me, you know.
He'd start the lawnmower right before he gets home.
So when she tells you how much she mowed, come on, she's poofing you some hot air.
yeah, and then Connie got big enough to mow.
And then Connie started mowing it real early.
Yeah.
And then Christy.
That is too great. So, who is the laziest?
Probably me.
I don't know about that. I can be lazy too.
Who sleeps in the latest?
Well, that's a given.
Well, since I retired,
Since you retired.
yes. Yeah, I like that bed till 8:30.
But even
9.
before you retired, because I always got up at 5:30, and you didn't get up until about 6:30 or 7.
Just whatever, whether
So
I
he
was
slept
whether I had to go to
than
work
I
at
did.
7 or 8, during time it changed.
Right.
And I always got there a little 4-7 and a little 4-8. But no. And I'm not a breakfast eater, so that's no big deal.
What is the best vacation you have ever been on?
We have had so many good ones. It's really hard. But probably, if I was going to say one of the best, would have been the Mediterranean Sea
Where we flew into Venice.
cruise vacation.
What was
one of my
so
favorite.
cool about that?
I don't know.
Different countries and the history and
the countries and all that we visited
they're
were
just so unique and beautiful.
Yeah, it was just.
And you know, we've had some other ones that were great.
Yeah, and I said one of the.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, because they're different in their own way.
We even enjoyed, you know, like Disney cruise with you guys, and we enjoyed the Caribbean. We enjoyed going to Australia, New Zealand, or going to London and coming back on a cruise.
You know,
there's so many that are so good. Alaskan was good, and just on and on.
Those that you went with family were especially fun.
Yeah, but that one was the one she's talking about. That Mediterranean, to me, that's our top one.
It just had, and that was the first time we'd gone over into Europe too. So that was like everything was new.
Yeah, you know, went to the Colosseum and to Athens and
Ephesus,
where and saw where Jesus walked there, and you know, and just so many things. That was I think our best one, honey. Would you think so?
Well, as far as travel goes.
Yeah, and there were some other ones close to that.
Oh yeah.
So, I know every time you go on a cruise, you like to eat ice cream.
No kidding.
I don't like to eat it. I love it.
Well, what is the most? How much? What's your max number of ice cream cones you've had on a cruise?
Oh God!
Who knows?
I mean, if you count, do you even count?
If I counted them, are you talking about just ice cream?
Yeah.
Well, probably
And
when
you can help out, Mommom.
When we came from London to Houston, I must have ate 5 gallons.
I don't know. On the ship?
Yeah, on the ship.
Chocolate or vanilla or the swirl?
All the above.
All the above.
Depends
But
on.
the best ice cream that we had, as far is expensive too, was in Rome, because we had this ice cream that we found in Rome, and it was like $7.50, and that was euros, which was more in our money.
Yeah.
And a cone.
One dip cone.
And then, one dip cone. And we bought 4 of them because we ate 2
about
apiece.
30 minutes apart.
Yeah, which was
coconut.
$30 worth of ice cream there in
But it was good.
30 minutes. Oh, it was good. It was really good.
That's awesome. So, what is your favorite thing to do together?
Our favorite that we eat together?
No, favorite thing to do together.
Be together, just
favorite activity to go to.
Just to be together.
Okay.
You know, not only at home, but when we
doesn't
get in the
have
car
to
and
be.
go somewhere. Or
just
it could be at
watching
home
TV
or just
together or
watching TV.
whatever. Just doing things together.
Yeah.
All right. What is the funniest thing that your spouse has ever done? Something that just makes you laugh every time you think about it.
I don't know.
I know there's some there. Oh yes, I got one. That
I figured.
you know where it is.
No, I don't.
We was down in was it Dollywood or?
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
We was in Dollywood on vacation, and we come in to hear this guy play the banjo and entertain you, and it was outdoor theater.
Yeah.
It was jam-packed with people. And we had to stand behind all the seating and people lined up in front of you a little bit. You'd find a crack here and a crack there. So Corey went way down there and stood by herself when she found a spot about this big, and I was way over here with a spot. Then when it was over with, well, she come walking towards me, and somebody stepped in front of us, so I was about one person behind her, and it was just shoulder to shoulder. And she was going along, this guy was walking by her, and she just
I know, he came in between us or something.
Yeah, I said he walked in front of us.
Right, and all of a sudden I just grabbed his arm and started walking.
She was just walking out with him, and I was sitting behind her, and I was just grinning like a wild
I looked
pussy.
to the back of me, and there he was. I mean, I looked to the side, and I caught a glimpse of him, and I turned around and looked at that guy, and I screamed.
And that guy said, well, it was good while it lasted. And he just laughed. But I know that she looked back, saw me, and looked up at him and started screaming. And she had a good voice then.
That's funny.
Oh, that is great.
I don't know about what would be on me. Could probably be a lot of things, but I can't
Yeah, I
think of
can't
one right
think of
now.
one right now.
Huh?
I said I'm having a hard time thinking of one.
There's been too
There's
many.
been.
I don't know.
Well, you've always pulled a lot of pranks.
Yes,
You've
it
been
is.
a big prankster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember you telling about the sardines and the hubcaps, or even the shocker seat that Mommom sat on.
That was not funny. No wonder I didn't want to go with him. When I was, when I first went to work, I lived here in Cameron. At that time, you could rent rooms,
Right by where Bistros
and
is
so
now.
right where
almost there.
the Cameron
next door
Bistro
to it.
is now, there was a house, 2-story house there, and I rented a room. And of course, just walked to work, which is, next block. And he came by,
She was outside
and I was out
in the front yard
in the
somewhere.
front yard or something. And he wanted to take me for a ride.
I said, you want to go ride? And she said, yeah, and she jumps in.
I jump in and
Shorts on.
and next thing I knew, I got this shock, and I
I had
screamed.
those wires running to those seats, and I had
he
a
had
switch over here.
He had the seat wired, and I mean,
What was it wired to?
Call.
the car. I mean, it had a good shock, and on my legs that were bare, it pinched
Her
them
belly
good.
flew up this. Her shoulders are on the back of the seat. Oh,
I said, "Stop the car and let me out." And I didn't talk to him for a while, I guarantee you. I didn't want to have anything to do with him.
Oh man, so we're wrapping up here.
Okay.
Last two questions. First one, what are you most proud of?
Our family.
Yeah, no doubt. Every one of them, by
Yep.
far. Yeah, they mean the world to us.
That's right.
We couldn't be more thankful and prouder of every one of them. And when people say, do you have a favorite one? Yeah, sure do. Every one of them is my favorite. If I'm with you, then I'm full of joy with that. If I'm with Connor and nobody else around it, I'm full of joy there, or Jada, or Adam, or whoever, It's who you're with, but when we all together, and we having Christmas or whatever, they're all my favorite. I brag about all of them.
So just off the record, who's your favorite grandson? Just off the record.
Off the record.
Well, since I'm with you right now, we'll just say you, okay?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Now, when you gone and with somebody else, you just going to have to take back seat for a little bit.
And I guess the last final question to wrap it up. What is your advice for a long and happy marriage? How long have y'all been married for right now?
About 62 and not quite a half years.
62 years.
And 4 months.
Yeah, what is a piece of advice, a nugget of wisdom to last 62 years together and not go insane?
Yeah.
Well, I have a different opinion, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I won't.
Well, one thing, we didn't do a lot of arguing in our life, and particularly in our early age, because I would bite my tongue. I didn't want to argue. And if he tried to rile me, I would just not participate. But that has changed in my old age.
Yeah, but she was an introvert too. She's got to tell you that. She talked more tonight than she talked the first 5 years we was married.
Yeah, I was the introvert. He was the extrovert. He was the social butterfly.
I don't know. I think is that we let each other know constantly how much we love them and appreciate them.
And I think, he realized that the thing I needed the most is to know that I was loved by him. And I realized the thing he needed the most, which is that a male needs to know that he is respected by his wife. And I think those are real important keys. And of course, the fact that we both knew the Lord, and the Lord made a lot of changes in our life, because that changed me from the introvert.
Slowly.
Yeah, but it did, and as well as,
Now I'm back in the back seat. She's in the driver's seat. But, I think, though, just like I said, that I tell her daily and a lot of times, how much I love her and appreciate her, And for example, I'll give you what we do is, there she's hitting me.
I didn't see anything.
No, that's common.
yeah.
She doesn't hit me with the hand or slap me, or something. A love slap, but anyway, still, she does it. In the morning I get up, I come in and tell her, good morning, sweetheart, I love you. And whatever. And if we meet during the day, we'll do the same thing.
You might. Yeah.
Then at night, before we go, the last thing we do before we close our eyes, we kiss each other 3 times and tell them we love you and how much we appreciate them. And that always puts a good seal. I don't think she tries to boss me around, and I don't try to boss her around. Well, I mean, just, it's my way or nothing else, That's not in our life.
Yeah, we try to.
Huh?
We try to make decisions together.
Yeah.
Like no ultimatums.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If she wants to do something and I don't, that's fine. Let's go. Or vice versa, Where do you want to eat? Don't make me this. Where do you want to eat? And, or whatever. She wants to go shopping.
And we realize that life is too short to spend it bickering or unhappy. So It's better to just
bite your tongue and go and shut up.
Or whatever it takes to get things.
That's very rare. And, just, now I know it's about every 5 years she gives me a choice. We can go eat where I want to. And so one day she told me, she says, well, I tell you what, I ain't going to fuss. I ain't going to say nothing. I ain't going to say I don't want to eat there. I will go. So we get to Temple, and I pulled into the Sam's Club. I love their pizza. Ooh, it's good. Bacon and all that stuff with it.
Sam's Club pizza.
Huh?
Sam's Club pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And so she looks at me and says, oh, I got to eat a hot dog. I can see it in her mind. She didn't care about eating no pizza. But anyway, she did. But I haven't had much choice. I haven't had that choice no more.
I did it that time, but I ain't doing it again.
That was her answered prayer.
Yeah.
She said, "Dear Lord, don't ever let Cecil choose Sam's Club again."
Yeah, exactly.
But, it's just been a super journey. Just the love of my life. And I can't feature life without her. And I'm just so thankful that she did finally say, I want you to take me home, because, gosh, I just can't feature what life would have been without her. No form or fashion.
Well, I guess either you're really lucky or you were the last man on earth.
I was blessed before I realized I was blessed. And yeah, we just never did get married. She said she wouldn't marry unless I'd ask her. So we just been living together all those years. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I did in church one Sunday.
I know.
This music director said I was greeting people at the front door. And they said, go get Cecil. It was our anniversary.
They were going to sing happy.
And first thing he said, Cecil, I don't know how in the world that gal ever married you or something to that degree. And I looked at him and I said, BB, she told me when I first dated her, I told her I was going to marry her, and she told her sister I'd be the last person on earth she wouldn't marry me. So we've just been living together for 50 years. The church, But it's been a joyous trip. It really has. It's been superb. And I hope.
Yeah, it's kind of like with raising kids. You can stay on them all the time or whatever, or you can pick your battles. And I think that's what we learned early in life, to pick our battles. Yeah. There's some things not worth fighting over.
No. Who wants to fight?
No. It's just worth it.
I love her too much to do all those things. I just can't do it. Can't do it. I said, see, we were so poor when we got married, Jacob, that we lived in this here 1-bedroom apartment, had our new furniture, but we didn't have an air conditioner or anything.
No, but we had a water fan.
Huh?
We had one of those water.
But anyway, my parents had a big water fan, about that big and about that tall.
Water cooler.
And they'd throw it in the junk pile. And I went out there and worked that thing over and got it to blowing, and it would cool that house down. It was water, but it'd come down this netting and pull that air through.
It would.
Called a swamp buggy or whatever.
Oh, one of those big swamp coolers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was humid. I mean, it was moist.
Full of moisture.
The air was full of moisture.
But
it was cool. It did cool.
That thing was so worn out and everything, and I got it to go in and got new pads and on. And you'd turn that thing on night and it'd say, clunk, clunk, clunk. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Real light, but you could hear it.
Wow.
And I guess that wheel would slide back and forth. But boy, we were happy to have that, weren't we, sweetheart?
So just being happy with the small things.
That's right. Oh. That's another thing. We didn't. The things in life didn't show.
We had each other.
We had each other. That was more important than a new house or whatever. And obviously, because here we are in the same house almost 60 years later. How many people do that?
Well, and and I worked at the service station,
You
and
know.
she would come buzzing by going to work, and I'd be to work already an hour when she'd come buzzing through. And boom, And then when we got to going strong together, she'd bring me cake and stuff down there to eat. Man, it was good. Man, those slices be about that big and about that wide, That gal can cook. It is good. Come to find out her sister would cook it and she'd bring it to me, Carolyn.
Well, I was at work.
So Carolyn
She
would
was
make all
at
these
home.
cakes.
Yeah, she was baking.
All kind of food.
You didn't ask who made it. I just didn't
I
offer.
expected it to be
I just
you.
didn't offer any,
No, you
any
wasn't gonna tell her.
explanation.
She wasn't going to tell her. I said, but
Yeah.
I'll never forget one day. I was working under a car that I don't remember. I put mufflers on it, or I don't know what it was. I had it jacked up, and I was under there working on it. I didn't hear her come up, and all of a sudden she slid right up under in the middle, right up against me, going to help me work on that car. I said, "Wow, little country girl."
Well, I knew I did some of that out on the farm. I drove a tractor.
Had to help her daddy.
I had to help Dad work on stuff.
But she had pretty well, then later on, then you stop by there every day.
Yeah.
And I was sure glad of that. Meant the world to me. That's okay. You can cut it off if you want to.
No, you're good.
But it's just been good.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that would be better other than our eternal home.
Well, we sit and think about the different people that we have dated in our life before each other got connected, and we look at them and says, "Oh my gosh, just think we could have married them." I sit and think about that. Corrine, talk about the guy that she worked with, and he's a multi-millionaire today.
Yeah, he eventually became the president of the bank.
Yeah. And then one of the girls I was dating, she became a dentist, had a very successful business in Waco, and we saw her not too long ago at her cousin's funeral. I thought, oh, Lord. She had an old 100-year-old grandma of 100 years ago dress on. It looked like worn out mud. Skinny. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But she could keep me broke. I dated her for maybe 6 months. I'd come down to Cameron and I was working, and I'd spend every penny I had. And bring her down here, and we'd stop at a place and get hamburgers and malts and soda water. Gosh, dog, that girl would order a hamburger, french fries, soda water, malt. And I had enough money to just pay for hers. She could eat like a wild woman. Holy moly. Then got to dating Corrine, and we had to go up to a temple to eat out at a Veterans Cafe downtown. The best restaurant they had in Temple. We'd go in there and eat, $1 each, But I remember she'd always want to go to this one little old drive-in on East Adams, and not always, a couple of times, because I didn't care about it. She wanted to go get in there and get tomato juice and put pepper in it and salt and drink it.
Huh.
And we'd have to stop her. And I only did it a couple of times, but that's 2 times too many.
Did you ever drink the tomato juice?
Yeah, I think maybe I did, but I'm not sure. Probably did one time. And I still laugh sometimes about the night we got married. And I can't remember where we was coming from getting married or going to get married, but we met one of her old boyfriends coming down the highway. One of the guys was at the hall that night.
Oh, well, doesn't matter. Didn't matter.
Huh?
Didn't matter.
Didn't make no difference.
Didn't make any difference.
But we'd go up there and go to the theater.
No, but I don't know. But to me, it's just family has just been such a blessing.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, so much of our life has revolved around family.
Yeah.
And what we do.
So many great
And have
adventures
so
and
many good
times.
times, with family.
Yeah, it's been super.
Mm.
Just, and we can do what we want to do. We got a little money. If she'll quit spending it, we'll have more.
Ooh, that look she gave you. If
I've
looks
never
could
told.
kill.
I've never told her about her spending money, have I, honey?
This is the first time ever.
Oh, I'm just aggravating.
No, he never told me not to spend.
No, never.
I had
never
to tell
Laura.
him not to.
Never in our married life have I ever told her that she couldn't buy something or do something.
But
We don't.
because he says, well, you know what we got in the bank. If you think we can afford it, go for it.
Yeah. I love to tell this story. I told it not long ago. We was on vacation down in Mexico. And we on this tour, and she went into the jewelry store, and she just loved that one ring there. Man, it's pretty pink, if I remember correct. And man, she wanted, I could see drool falling out of the corner of her mouth, just drooling over it. And she says, no, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. And she kept on. Anyway, and I got about half a block away or something like that. I said, sweetheart, now you know darn good well you get home, you're going to say, why didn't I buy that ring, And I said, you need to get that ring. She says, yeah, I still got some of my bonus money left from Christmas. I'll just go back and get it. So, yeah, there's been a lot of good fun times.
Well, I've had a really, really awesome time doing this with y'all and just hearing your stories and getting to just, relive some memories and be able to cherish them. And
we do.
I really appreciate y'all's time and love both of y'all so much and thank y'all.
Thank you. Love you too.
We love you.
Love you bunch. But we got a whole lot more to love than you got here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about twice as much. Probably as big as both of us put together.
No.
Not quite that big, but we say it anyway. He's been eating good.
Yeah.
Oh, Mommom's been cooking good.
Yeah.
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 Well, thank y'all.
Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it.
And I
Enjoyed
appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.